How can you leverage the power of outsourcing to enhance your productivity, increase your architecture firm's capacity, and improve your bottom line? I'm joined by Aya Schlachter to help you get started with outsourcing in this episode of Architecture Business Club, the weekly podcast for solo and small firm architecture practice owners just like you who want to build a profitable, future-proof architecture business that fits around their life. I'm the host, John Clayton, and if you want a business in architecture that gives you more freedom, flexibility and fulfillment, then go to architecturebusinessclub.com/blueprint and download the Architecture Business Blueprint. It's the step-by-step formula to freedom for architects, architectural technologists and architectural designers, and it's absolutely free as a gift from me. Now let's discuss outsourcing. Aya Schlachter is CEO and founder of MGS Global Group, a company that accelerates growth for architecture and design firms worldwide by providing architectural support and staffing services internationally. Her team provide Revit, ArchiCAD, AutoCAD and 3D visualization services to architects and interior designers. Aya is a keynote speaker and host of the Architect My Business podcast, a business growth podcast for architects. She's also a wife and mother of two, an avid traveller, golfer and a recreational triathlete who loves cooking and spending time outdoors. You can connect and learn more with Aya at mgsglobalgroup.com. Aya, welcome to Architecture Business Club.
Thank you for having me, John. I'm really excited about our conversation today.
Oh, me too. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. We've got a really interesting topic to talk about today, but before we dig into that, I know that you've recently got into doing cold plunging, like cold water immersion. Can you tell me a little bit about that? I'm fascinated by that.
Well, I'm from the Philippines. It's really hot there. And I moved here. It's really, really cold. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. And instead of complaining about the cold, I've decided to just love it because I have no choice. So when I see snow, I enjoy it. And my friend had asked me to join a club. It is really amazing because the cold plunge has a lot of benefits. It really helps with like stress, anxiety, sleep, inflammation. But it's just a fun thing to do when you all go as a group and you have like your shovels and like those ice picks that they carve. So it's just a great, I like to do exciting things and things that will challenge me. And cold plunging is one of those things where you just kind of absorb the cold and the pain, but the benefits are amazing. I sleep better at night. I'm more focused. Inflammation is down. If you have like aches and pains, it's just really good for your body. If anyone can try it, let me know. I want to hear your opinions on cold plunging, but yeah.
That sounds amazing. And actually the fact that, we're not just talking about doing this in like an ice bath. You've done this outdoors.
Yes, there's a polar bear club here in Cleveland and we go every Sunday. And our group leader, Josh makes sure that he watches everyone, checks the temperature. Obviously, we can't cold plunge if it's icy, but at 33 degrees or 32 degrees, that's the water is still water. It's still liquid, so we can do that. I started, like my first plunge was like 15 seconds, and now I can build up to 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Yeah. No way.
Yeah, but So it's fun with the group. It's really, because they support you, right? You'll be surprised about stress and like pain, that breathing can really help you out. So cold plunge is the same. When you're stressed, when you have anxiety, when it's super cold, just breathe deeply and you can manage. That's what I've learned.
Let's just caveat this with a health and safety warning and say to the listeners, like, don't just go off and try this on your own. Definitely find a group to do it with first. Like, no responsibility is taken for any listeners that decides to cold plunge unsupervised.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to go with a group and check with your doctor first.
Yes, so good advice.
We have to sign a waiver to join the group, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Good call, John.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about outsourcing so that architects and architecture firm owners who have never done it before can get started. So I think probably the best place to start is by starting with the basics. So why should architects consider outsourcing some of their work, and what are some of the key benefits that they can expect?
So one of the things that this is overall, one of the hindrances to growth is not having enough staff. So every architect is afraid first to hire their first staff, right? Because they don't know if they can afford it. But the second hindrance to growth is pipeline, right? People are like, I don't have enough pipeline to hire people. But the third hindrance to growth is, and this is why we're so busy in MGS, is because now you have a pipeline. What happens when you don't have staff? And I see this a lot in a lot of the chat groups, the Facebook groups. Oh, I have a wait list of 6 months, right? Like, I'm so busy, I have a wait list of 6 months. You can't have a wait list of 6 months because you don't know when the economy is going to crash, collapse, or whatever, right? So the benefits of outsourcing really is like, you really have to outsource to plan for your business, because first of all, finding talent, I'm in the United States, it's really hard. But when you outsource, you have access to a wider talent pool, and it gives you the flexibility to scale up and down on an as-need basis, right? So that's the thing. Outsourcing can really help you be flexible about your work and your pipeline and your team and planning and finance.
I love that. That in itself is a huge benefit. The amount of flexibility that you have by building an outsourced team, definitely. But outsourcing, it does come with, I think, a lot of preconceived ideas about it and a lot of myths and misconceptions. So can you help debunk some of those myths about outsourcing?
So the first thing is the cultural and communication challenges. We're located in the Philippines. We have like over 50 drafters there. They're all architects. People ask, can they speak English? Are they good at, communicating? The answer is yes. Our medium of instruction is English in the Philippines. And I think all over the world, English is really, a lot of people speak English. So that's the first thing. Can they communicate? The second is, are they familiar with local codes, right? We live in a global world. I mean, we have access to information right now. So, with Chat GPT, online resources, a lot of YouTube, it's not a problem to learn as long as you want to learn. So, you get out of school, any architect out of school, whether you're in the Philippines, India, China, or the US, you're starting from ground zero in terms of real, actual work knowledge. So everything can be learned as long as you're open with technology right now. One thing I also get is, oh, are you treating your employees well? Is it a sweatshop? That's common, right? And yes, we are treating our employees well. As a matter of fact, local economies in developing countries have upgraded their lifestyles because of outsourcing. So it's more of a equitable workplace. So now, you'll see a lot of Filipinos traveling to Hong Kong, or people who couldn't afford to travel before because they didn't have access to money or jobs now have jobs. So it's actually pretty cool that we treat our employees really well. They have a really fancy office. They work in a nice office. I'm still working on basement. So that's the that's the question people ask. And then the last is project coordination. Like, how do we communicate? Again, like, with online, people can work the night shift or the day shift. So if you want to work at the same time zones, you can arrange that. So yeah, those are the four things I think that people wonder: the communications and not access to information, and like the working conditions and project coordination.
I love that. I thought that there's an interesting point there that you began with about the communication thing, because I think that is something that probably holds some people back, worrying about if they do use an overseas outsourcing partner, about how well they will be able to communicate with each other. So that's something really key. And actually, the thing you mentioned there about sometimes people might feel like, is this something exploitative that I'm doing? Like, am I doing something really bad by like outsourcing outside of my country, and are they getting paid enough? But I think that you can leverage the currency difference by using overseas partners, and you can actually pay them the equivalent, if not better, than what they would be earning by a local employer, and still save money on what it would cost you to outsource it within your own country, depending on where you're based. So there's definitely some huge benefits to exploring this, isn't there?
Yeah. Plus, it's also, for architects, since our rates are much lower than the US rates, you can actually add that into your proposals. So your profit margins are high. The drafting process is maybe like 80, maybe 60% from SDs to DDs. That's a huge chunk of your fee that if you send it to an outsourcing provider or partner, you can actually have more profits because the costs are lower.
Yeah, that makes total sense, doesn't it? Actually, that other point as well that you made about local codes and understanding the regulations in different countries, that like as architects and architectural designers, that we have so much information that you have to know about and learn for any given project, but not all of that is retained in our heads. Like often it's just knowing where to find that information. So if you think about your outsourcing partner in that way, that they might not know everything already about your local code, but as long as they've got the right skills and ability to go and find that information and to use it, then it's all good. It would just be the same as working alongside a staff member in your office that needed to double check some local codes.
Absolutely. It's also like hiring a new employee, right? You're onboarding a new staff. Let's say the staff is from New York and that person moves to California, right? The principal of the firm will have to walk her or him through the code because maybe that person knows only New York City code. So yeah, it's just like having a team member join a new firm in a different country. You still need, or a different state. So you still need to train them and keep them up to speed.
Yeah. So it's important to choose the right outsourcing partner. How can architects and architectural firm owners go about finding and selecting the right outsourcing partner?
I really think referral is the best, and getting people who've done it before, pros and cons, right? It might not be for everyone. It depends on the firm owner as well. Like if some firm owners don't want to give up that control, so they'll probably have a hard time finding the right partner. But really, referral is the most important thing. And the second is review their online presence. Make sure that, they're legitimate. They have testimonials on their website. They have good partners and clients. I always look at the blogs. For me, I'm a content creator. So I want to make sure when I look at a company, whether it's mine or another outsourcing partner, that they're going to expos, they're going to events, they're going to like expos that you're attending, like the product expo or whatever it is. They have to stay on top of things. Blogs are really important, and content. Like when I look for a partner or any staff member, I always check their online profile. So that's really important. And then I always review their leadership, like who is behind the outsourcing, who's the owner behind. Are they an architect? Are they an entrepreneur? Who is on their team? A lot of the times outsourcing companies, because I look at my competition, they don't show the face behind who's the principal, who's the owner. So that's important. You need to get to know the people you're working with, like a resume.
I totally agree. I think one thing that really stands out about MGS Global is you. You have a great personal brand and you're very present, and all those things you said about attending events and being visible, we can very easily see when we start researching outsourcing companies, like somebody like yourself or the principal of another outsourcing company that's got a similar presence. Like it helps to build trust with that company. Definitely. Okay. So when it comes to actually kind of starting with this outsourcing relationship, what are some of the best practices we're getting started? Why is it beneficial, do you think, to start with perhaps smaller projects? And what do you think architects should be looking out for with those initial few projects that they do with their outsourcing partner? Remember, don't forget to download the Architecture Business Blueprint, the step-by-step formula to freedom for architects, architectural technologists and architectural designers. You can grab the blueprint without any charge at architecturebusinessclub.com/blueprint. And if you're enjoying this episode, then please leave a 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. Now back to the show.
So the good thing about working slowly is, if you hire a full-time employee, you're kind of stuck with that employee, right? Like it's hard for you to, change your mind. With working with an outsourcing partner, you can, start with a small project, right? You can see if it's a good fit, if the person or if your architecture resource. In our team, we have in our company, we have different teams, hospitality, retail, and there are different project managers. So you want to make sure you're a good fit for the resource you're assigned to. So that's why it's good to test a small project. And also we're very flexible in our company. We do if you can afford, just on a per project basis, you don't need to do contract model. We have 2 models, per project and contract. The contract is you sign for a year and you're locked in, right? So we really want to give architects the flexibility because business is hard, right? We don't want to seal, keep you with a contract for a year. Even our contract model, John, I think we just have 30-day notice if you want to terminate the contract, if you don't have any more projects coming in. But that's the thing, we want other people to work very easily with us and not have a lot of terms and conditions. And if you have a budget, we'll stick to the budget as well, right? So the profession is difficult on its own. We're trying to make it easy for our partners to work with us.
I love that because, as you say, most small firm architects are so busy already firefighting everything day to day. So to be able to have an extension of their team that has that flexibility in it, then I think that's potentially a game changer for a lot of small practices. When it comes to actually working together, though, I imagine a lot of architects will worry a little bit about losing control of those projects that they outsource. And I was wondering about how outsourcing partners can be better integrated into existing teams so that there's some nice integration working together rather than it being a very separate entity. Do you have any thoughts on how we can go about that so that the outsourcing partner is better integrated with the existing practice?
Okay, so I have 2 case studies I'm going to share. One case study is this one partner who only wanted one person. He didn't have a team. His website only had 1 person. So it actually looked good for him to have people on our team integrate in their website, right? That you look like you have a bigger team or interact with clients. So that's a plus, right? Because a lot of firm owners, they feel bad. They don't have they have big projects, but they don't have full-time employees. So it's really good to integrate. And you'll be surprised the relationship between my team members and our clients that are architects, it's amazing. They talk constantly. They talk they make small talk. They know each other's birthdays. So it's kind of really part of your team. And depending on the setup, if you want them to work US hours, we can also do that. In our company, we always do training for the office standards. So that's part of our onboarding process. We have at least 3 to 6 weeks of training depending on how complex the jobs are, right? So one small firm owner has 2 employees under their team, and they have a great relationship. I have another bigger client who started with 5 employees and now have grown to 15 employees.
Wow.
Right? And every year they send, swag, all the hat caps and the mugs because they're part of that team. So if you go to our headquarters in the Philippines, there's a section with our client team. They have all the swag. So they're really, in essence, part of the U.S. company, the culture. They have meetings. So I really like that they belong to that company and also have access to our company culture. I don't know if you follow us on social, but we have a lot of karaoke, beach outings, all the things because we want to have fun in the Philippines. All on weekends, We like to go to the beach, outings and things. So they have best of both.
I love that. It really is this idea that, well, a mindset change of looking at this as an extension of your team. So it's not just looking at it like it's like us and them. This is like a totally separate entity. It is about trying to find a partner to work with that, maybe you might even try working with a couple of different companies. You might not find the right partner first, but when you do, when there's some synergy and you can really integrate with each other's teams and look at it like they're just an extension of your existing team, I think that's amazing. The fact that you've got people there that you mentioned, the architect, where they've integrated your team members because they're like, well, actually, they're my team members. I'm going to have them on my website too. So
yeah.
I think
so.
That's
So
great.
may I add also, it depends too on the firm owner. I have people who are not open to it, but they really just love their employee. I have people who just really love their employee so much. One of my clients came to the Philippines and spent 6 weeks to train the new batch. Do you know what I'm saying? So it really depends on the company culture of the firm owner. So we're open to that as well. But our culture is very open. We have open door policy. People have autonomy over their work. So it works, right? I enjoy what I do.
Absolutely. So, I mean, what's coming across here is that outsourcing isn't just about delegating tasks. It can actually be a whole strategic move for your business and how you grow your team. So how can architects think strategically about outsourcing to maximize the potential to grow their practice and be more efficient?
So strategically, architects should think out as outsourcing as part of your team, but with the flexibility and less cost, right? You can grow your team to match your pipeline. And this is why our clients come to us. They're like, Aya, we have a pipeline of we have 10 multifamily units in the next 3 years. Can you match our pipeline, please? Because they can't hire fast enough here in the US, right? We support their project managers. Now they can sleep at night knowing that their projects can be delivered on time. So really, you can grow your team to match your pipeline. And that's a strategic decision because you don't want a wait list of 6 months and then the residential market might collapse or not, right? And as a business owner, it's your responsibility to make sure you have a pipeline, especially if you have architects. I mean, if you have staff. Second, it's really flexible. MGS has over 15 years of experience in the business. So at any given time, we have a culture of collaboration. So at any given time, whether you have residential architects, multifamily architects, hospitality, place of worship, hospitals, if you have a project, if you're an architect who now got a job in hospitality or in church building, we have the resources and the know-how to support you because we've done a diverse type of project types. So again, think strategically, right? If you want to start pivoting to other industries, you need to find partners who know that type of work. So it's strategic, flexible hiring for multi-skills and multi-disciplines. So you need to, and also when you find an outsourcing partner, make sure they know different types of construction methods in different regions. And the last one, it's really low risk for entrepreneurs and startups, right? It's low risk. You're not paying an employee, you're not paying for their insurance yet or any of the benefits. We take care of all of that. So I think it's a win-win for everyone if you're open to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's important, that final point as well about startups and smaller practices. It is a very low risk way to leverage your time and to increase the number of projects that you can get through in a year without having to make an expensive hire. And you've just got that flexibility built in. It's been a really good discussion. I think I've really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be really valuable for the listeners. What would be the main thing that you'd like everyone to take away from the conversation?
So this is more like my philosophy in business and life. In business in particular, success is decisions away, not years away, right? So I think every entrepreneur should be really open to the opportunities and possibilities and get out of their own way and really try to look at things differently with AI, technology. Everything is moving at a fast pace. So you should always be open to things and not be close-minded. If outsourcing is the thing to do right now to stay ahead, do it. If it's AI, Chat GPT, getting the right tools, you need to do it, right? Because everything is moving so fast. So just be open. And like I said, success is only decisions away, not years away. So you need to, have a good mindset and be open to what's going on in the world.
That's brilliant. I love that quote. Success is just decisions away, not years away. That's brilliant. Definitely going to be using that in the promotion for this episode.
That's not from me. That's from my mentor, by the way.
It's fine. We'll pretend it was yours. We won't tell anybody. It's fine. Was there anything else you wanted to add that we haven't covered in the conversation already?
I think entrepreneurship is an amazing journey. So, just stick with it for people who are starting out and having a hard time. It's really a long game. So if you work hard and put in the hours and be smart about your decisions, you won't regret it.
Oh, thanks so much, Aya. It's been lovely to chat with you again today. Really enjoyed the conversation. Really valuable. Could you remind everyone the best place to connect with you online?
I'm very active on LinkedIn. Aya Schlachter, Shlachter. Also Instagram. My podcast, Architect My Business podcast. But I'm also active on the Architect My Business podcast Instagram, if my last name is hard to spell. And lastly, my website, mgsglobalgroup.com.
Brilliant. I will share contact details in the show notes. And seeing as we're here on a podcast, I've got to mention the podcast again now, Architect My Business. I've been and had a listen to the show, and it is a great podcast. So I'm sure that the people that are listening to this show would really enjoy that one too. So please go off, find it and subscribe. Okay. Thanks again, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you.
Next time, I chat with Brian McCartney about the key things he's learned from founding and managing 5 successful creative service firms. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Architecture Business Club. If you liked this episode, think other people might enjoy it, or just want to show your support for the show, then please leave a glowing 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. It would mean so much to me and makes it easier for new listeners to discover the show. And if you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss another episode. If you want to connect with me, you can do that on most social media platforms. Just search for @Mr. John Clayton. The best place to connect with me online, though, is on LinkedIn. You can find a link to my profile in the show notes. Remember, running your architecture business doesn't have to be hard, and you don't need to do it alone. This is Architecture Business Club.